Okay, today we are going to look at another form of linear equations. We've so far talked about linear or slope-intercept form and standard form. So today we are going to look at point-slope form. Okay? And if you hear any giggles in the background, that's because my daughters are sitting in the classroom right now and they think it's funny that their mom is teaching. So point-slope form. So if you'll take your foldable, point-slope form is this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We know that the m still stands for slope, just like usual. And notice we've got two sets of x's and y's. When we go to write this equation, the x1 and the y1 is where we're going to plug in the point. It represents a point on the line. Now, the other x and y do too, but for the purpose of writing the equation, we're literally going to leave these two as x and y. We're not going to replace them with any numbers when we write the equation. So let's look at the next entry, and let's look at how we would write an equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm just going to put the word writing. If you want to put writing in slope-intercept form, or here, writing an equation. Okay? So to write an equation, let's first look at writing an equation from knowing a point and the slope. It's actually really, really easy.
Montrell and Kentrell Smith, if you're in the building, please report to the gym. Montrell and Kentrell Smith, please report to the gym.
Oh no, an interruption. Okay, so you can refer back to your form over here on the left and help us write it. So literally all we're going to do is fill it in. So we're going to say y minus, what is the y value from our ordered pair? -4. Now look what happens when we put in -4. That actually changes to a plus. So it's going to be y plus 4 equals m6 times x minus, and then take the x value from the coordinate. And it's as simple as that. That's it. That's slope-intercept form. Now, if we know 2 points, the first thing we're going to have to do is find the slope. So if you would please first find the slope of this line. And if you'll pause the video for a second and actually find the slope for me. So to find the slope, you should have said 5 minus -4 over -3 minus 6, which is 9 over -9 or -1. You may have gotten to it a little bit differently, but it still should be -1. Now, you may be saying, well, Miss Adams, which point do I use? Well, just like with slope-intercept form, you can use either point to write the equation, but they're going to look different. If we use the first point, we would say y minus -4, which we know turns into a plus, equals -1 times x minus 6. Now, you don't have to put the -1 there. You could just put negative x minus 6, and that would work. So that's if we use the first ordered pair. If we use the second ordered pair, our equation would look like this. Y minus 5 equals -1 times x minus -3, which again we know turns into a plus. Now, if you don't believe me that those really are equivalent equations or the same equation of the line, take each equation and put it in slope-intercept form. And if we did it correctly, they should be exactly the same. Okay. The third thing we're going to do, or the second thing to look at with point-slope form, is how to graph with point-slope form. Now, you may not use this all the time, but if you've got an equation in slope-intercept form, you may want to use it to graph instead of having to change it to another form. So just like the form suggests, the equation gives us the slope and it gives us a point. So let's start with the slope because that's easiest. We know that this is the slope, right? Our slope equals 2. Now, what about our point? What is the coordinate that it gave us? Remember, the formula is y minus y1. So really, this y value that we plugged in is positive. And here, this x value we plugged in is also positive. So we're used to graphing starting with the y-intercept, but for this one, and I don't have graph paper in front of me, but if I did, I would plot the point 3, 2, and that would be my first point. And then from there, I would use my slope, and this is a positive slope, so I would go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, and then obviously reverse it. And there is the graph of my equation. Now for number 2, tell me what my slope is. The slope is -2. And what is our coordinate? What do you think? Pause for a minute and think about that. The coordinate would be +1 and -3. Because if we plugged this in, we would be saying -3. And so we really plugged in a -3. So once again, you're going to use that first point, that given point, as your first starting point. And then this is a negative slope, so I'm going to go down 2, right 1, or up 2, left 1. And I did leave you graph paper so that you can graph your points. That was a very quick rundown of point slope form, but I think you'll be able to get it. You can always rewind if you need to.